nice.
Okay, so I've seen a few videos people making about this game mode, but I haven't seen anyone really give a concrete guide for beginners on everything you need to know about this game mode. So first thing I want to mention is levels. They do matter in this game mode the same way they do in regular Clash Royale. However, they're definitely not as important. They're not going to make or break your game. You can definitely still win with lower levels. As you can see, you can switch between the tabs here, and you can see there's a special tab for merge tactics and special stats. So I'm going to level up Executioner here so you can see the difference. And it's not huge, it's not going to make a massive difference, but they do matter. And there have been matches where I had where you have the same unit, but unit with a higher level just wins. Next up, let's get into the stars. When you click on a card, at the bottom, you're going to see of a stat sheet, you're going to see a bronze star. When you click on it, you're going to get instead 2 silver stars, and you're going to see the level difference between stars of the same card. And the other things don't change, like speed, range, just hit points and damage. But they can make quite a huge difference. You're going to get a star up by simply dragging one unit in the game over the other, or simply clicking on it. And it takes 2 1 stars to make 1 2 star, or 2 2 stars to make 1 3 stars. So 4 1 stars to make 1 3 star. That's merge in merge tactics, and I'm going to show you the difference that stars make. As you see, I'm showing off Goblin here, and it has a 550 hit points, and it's a level 12. It's under leveled, and it's a more damage oriented card. It's definitely not a tanky. However, when I level that Goblin to 4 stars, it has nearly 4,500 hit points. It's approaching the hit points of a knight, while also doing 400 damage. And stars are far more important than something like levels in merge tactics. So I'm going to go back to the knight here, and see Goblin has 400 damage. I'm going to go back to the knight and show you the damage difference. As you can see, 3-star knight has 161 damage. So a higher star Goblin has nearly the same health while having 4 times the damage, and that's while being under level. Next, I want to talk about abilities. So the first row of 2 elixir cards don't have any special abilities here. The first one it does is a bomber. Throws a bomb at the nearest enemy, dealing damage in a 2 hex radius. For those who are wondering what are hex radius, those are just tiles. It's merge tactics name for tiles because in merge tactics the tiles are in shape of a hexagon, hence the hexes, but they're pretty much the same as tiles in regular Clash Royale. So it has to be tile right next to the card the bomb is targeting, so it's smaller than regular Clash Royale, as I like to show you here. So in regular Clash Royale, Executioner might have again splash there. I do briefly want to mention Valkyrie and Executioner. As you see in the description, doesn't say anything special, but she does hit multiple units when she spins the same way she does it in regular Clash Royale. Next up, Giant Skeleton. Upon defeat, he drops a bomb that explodes after 1.5 seconds, dealing damage and stunning all enemies in his hex radius for 2 seconds. So what is his hex radius, as it specifies there? When you see his written on a card, like you see for Giant Skeleton, that's a special designation for merge tactics that depends on the amount of stars you have. For example, here 1-star Giant Skeleton, and you see for 2-star Giant Skeleton, it has a much bigger radius. So this depends on how many stars you have. Let's jump to Prince here. Combat starts charges at the nearest target, dealing double damage, pushing back enemies, and stunning them for 2 seconds. So Prince is quite a tactical unit. Depending on circumstances, you might want to stun a damage dealer or a tank. And I'm going to have a quick showcase here, as you see. And he can charge from anywhere. Next, Princess fires flaming arrows at the furthest enemy, dealing damage in a 2 hex radius. Pretty self-explanatory, I don't have to go into details into that. Royal Ghost becomes invisible for a short time after 3 hits. Also pretty simple, hits 3 times, then goes invisible. And Royal Ghosts can be pretty devastating against units who have low hit speed, as you're about to see here. My units are going to take out that archer, and it's going to be 2 against 1 situation. However, Royal Ghosts are going to absolutely demolish them, because Bomber has such a low hit speed. It barely gets 1 hit there, and it's going to get taken down. Mega Knight jumps and strikes the largest group of enemies every few seconds, dealing damage and stunning enemies in its hex radius for 2 seconds. And just like a giant skeleton, this is going to depend on level. So it's going to be circumstantial, which is why it's been specified. It's better I just show you. You're going to see here 1 star Mega Knight simply jumps, same as like Clash Royale. Bandit dashes to the furthest enemy in the 3 hexes after certain hits, dealing bonus damage and stunning all in her path for 1 second. So in my opinion, Bandit is the highest skill level card when it comes to unit positioning, because she can move omnidirectionally, she can go horizontally, vertically, anywhere. Positioning her is extremely important. If you position her well, you can hit whole row of enemies, stun 5 enemies at the same time. It's going to depend on how good you are. You can see a decent dash right here. Let's move on to the next one. Goblin Machine fires a rocket at the furthest enemy after a certain hits, dealing 50% damage and stunning them for 1.5 seconds. One thing that isn't specified here that's important about Goblin Machine, the amount of rocket fires depends on its star level. So it can devastate back rows, fire 5 rockets at the same time. Here you can see 2-star Goblin Machine firing on my back rows, nothing special. Let's move on. Class 3, 5 elixir units are all heroes. Skeleton King deals damage to enemies in a cone radius and summons a skeleton for every enemy he defeats. I think Skeleton has about half of a stats of a regular goblin. It's going to have the same amount of stars as Skeleton King, as you're about to see here. 2-star Skeleton King creates 2-star skeleton. Golden Knight dashes to the lowest HP enemy after defeating an enemy and deals bonus damage. I wouldn't really say dash, I would say more like sprint to, but I guess that's up to you to decide. You're going to see a clip here. I do want to note, Golden Knight doesn't need to get last hit for it to get that dash you're seeing here. Next, Archer Queen fires multiple arrows at her closest enemies. When her HP drops below 50%, she'll turn invisible and deal bonus damage. So similar thing that she does in regular Clash Royale, except she fires multiple arrows at the same time. As you can see here, my units weren't attacking her for a second because she was invisible. Once you get it in the game, the name of your opponent will briefly flash on screen, and I really do mean briefly. I've slowed this down in editing. It lasts only like 2 seconds. But don't worry, you can simply look at the top of the screen and you're going to see a few names. And next to the name of opponent you'll be facing next, there's going to be an icon of 2 swords crossed over. You can simply click on it and you can spectate your opponent and see their formation. Now you don't strictly have to spectate that opponent, you can spectate any opponents you have, and you can even watch them live fighting. There is one part that nobody can see, and that's the sidelines. Good players will be able to exploit this by hiding their units in between the rounds. For the opponent you're spectating, you're going to see baby blue background and an eye next to the name. Everyone starts with 1 random 2 elixir card, and they can have maximum of 2. You also start with 4 elixir and 10 health, and you gain plus 4 elixir every single round. As you're about to see, I'm going to go from 8 to 12 elixir at the end of the round. Next to that elixir, you're going to see card shop. You're going to get selection of 3 random cards, and you cannot swap them, and they won't even swap at the end of the round. You have to buy something in order to get a different selection. Cards are also all in the same card pool. They're shared in between 4 players, so for every bomber I buy, my opponents are going to have 1 less bomber, and vice versa. Good players are going to watch and buy up their opponent's cards, even if they don't plan on using them, just to prevent their opponent from having a higher star card. By clicking on a card you already own, you can see its information window. As you can see, I clicked on a barbarian, and next to its picture there's its elixir cost. At the bottom you see a sell button and number 1 next to it. That's its selling value, which means if I sell this barbarian, I'm going to get 1 elixir back from it. The selling value is always 1 less than its buying cost. As you can see, the 4-cost bandit can be sold for the 3 elixir, giving you ability to pseudo cycle by buying and selling. That also encompasses merged units. So as you can see, my 2-star 3 elixir Pekka can be sold for 5 elixir, just 1 less of its total buying value of 2 Pekkas. If I were to sell 2 Pekkas separately, I get 2 elixir for each. I would lose on a 1 elixir value by selling them that way. And further on, as you can see, 3-star Pekka can be sold for 11 elixir. The amount of units you can own are going to increase by 1 for each round until you reach maximum of 6 units owned. You deal 1 damage by default or take 1 damage by default depending if you win or lose, plus 1 extra damage for every surviving unit on the field. As you can see here, I took 3 damage, 1 by default, plus 2 surviving units that my opponent had. You'll have 17 seconds at the start of the game to do everything you need to do, plus 3 seconds every single round. Let's talk about arguably the most important part of merge tactics, and that's its trades. In Carpool, I'm going to select merge tactic trades, and I'm going to select first icon, and you can see 4 cards that belong to that trait. First is Noble trait. Frontline troops take less damage, while backline troops gain bonus damage. Pretty simple, self-explanatory, don't need to go into details. Next is Juggernaut. Combat starts troop behind Juggernaut gain an 8-second shield, so keep in mind that you need to be directly behind the unit who has Juggernaut trait. Clan, once per round, Clan heals and gains bonus hit speed at 50% HP. As you're about to see here, Archer Queen is getting torn up and then she goes invisible at the same time she starts healing like crazy. Rangers gain hit speed per attack, stacking up to 15x, so similar to Little Prince in regular Clash Royale. Pretty simple. Next trait are goblins. You can see 4 goblins in question. You'll get an extra goblin for free next round. And you can see when you click on that question mark, you're either going to get a new goblin or a star up on a goblin you already own. Next trait is an assassin trait. Combat starts, assassin will leap to the enemy's backline troops. I have 4 here with the Royal Ghost duplicate and you can see them jump at the backline. Next trait is the captain trait. Combat starts, your highest merge level troop is the captain. When the captain defeats enemy troops, your team gains 20 hit speed for 4 seconds. And in the game, if you see unit with the purple glow around them, they're the captain. Brawler trait, brawlers gain max HP. Avenger trait, Avengers gain bonus damage with the last woman standing gaining double damage. All of the Avengers are women, which is why it says the last woman is going to gain double damage. Next trait is Undead. You can see for the Undead, damage starts, the enemy with the highest HP is cursed, and your Undead gain 20 bonus damage when that enemy is defeated. So it doesn't specify here, but the curse will actually reduce the enemy's maximum HP. As you can see on that prince, it has reduced health. The cursed enemy is going to have a greenish smoke around them, and once they're defeated, you're going to gain bonus damage, which is going to manifest as that same greenish smoke. The last trait is a thrower trait, and it's pretty simple. Throwers gain +1 attack range and deal more damage to distant targets. Now you may think this whole trait business is pretty complicated. Well, don't worry, once you're in the game and you can look at that card shop, the cards that have synergies to units you already own are going to have a light glow around the synergy that synergizes with what you already have. Another thing that can help you is the side of the screen opposite of the king, where you can see a bunch of icons. Colored icons are traits you already have active. Above them are gray icons, which means you have one of synergies but are still missing some. It's important to note that some synergies require only 2 units of the same synergy to activate, while others, like assassins for example, require all 3 for synergy to activate. 4 card synergies can double the effect. Last thing to go over are modifiers, which there are 27 of. At the start of each merge tactic game, a modifier will be randomly applied, altering core mechanics to create new strategic experience. You will get these modifiers as you climb the Star Road, the merge tactics version of Trophy Road. Said modifiers will be displayed at the start of a game, but in case you miss them, you can click on an icon above Elixir and the description will be written above a card shop. I said modifiers are the last thing to go over, but actually there's one more thing, and that's King Tower Troop ability. For a Royal King, that's a Royal Commission. Losing grants you +4 elixir. So some players will tactically lose early game because there's less troops on the board, they will take less damage and they're going to capitalize on additional elixir. After you climb up a little bit, you're going to unlock Spirit Empress, and she has an ability Fusion Foresight. Every merge grants you +1 bonus elixir. Good players will merge a lot of cheap troops and they'll actually end up benefiting, gaining elixir when they sell them. I also want to mention that you don't actually have to get a first place in this mode to gain stars or trophies. As you can see, I got a second place and I still got some stars. You also won't lose anything if you get a third or fourth place. That's it for this video. Like, subscribe, share, follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next video.
I'll be seeking for the glory. Say my name.